Okay, Exodus. It's one of the more famous stories out of the Bible. It's the Hebrews' supposed origins. Oddly, we can't find this in history anywhere. Even the Egyptians mention of it, other than a people known as the Hebrew, which appear to be some nomadic assassin thieves that they hire from time to time, but they're believed to live in the northern land, which would be farther up the Nile. You see, they felt the Egyptians felt the world was upside down because their rivers flowed down towards the equator, and everybody else's rivers flowed down towards the equator, towards the middle, and they were below the middle. So most cultures called them the underworld and talked about things that would happen in the underworld there in Africa. That's the underworld. The abyss is the ocean below that, of course, and they felt that the world fell off by the way, and there was just a bunch of water, an abyss of water below the bottom of it, and that was the water that had swelled up, that God had actually like kind of pushed us under, like he took his hand and pushed us down, and that caused us to submerge, and then he pulled us back up. And kind of like we're in a snow globe and we pitch and push. Um, and that us wiggling around in this snow globe like a piece of cork bobbing is what is actually causing the tides. They have no idea that it's the moon. In fact, it's the Sumerians or Chaldeans that later explained to them that the moon is not even dimly lit like they describe in Genesis, but yet it's actually reflecting light from the sun, that Shamash actually reflects off sin, which is the moon god, and that reflection of sin back on you is the thing. And of course, that becomes actually an origin of where sin comes from, is there's a god, the moon god, sin, and the things that are related with the moon, and lunacy and all these type of things that people would do around full moons because it's brighter at night and they can see what they're doing, and it's great for assassins, and you find that a lot more bad things come about at full moons and so on. But we're digressing here. This is, of course, the tabernacle scene where the pillar of fire is with them, and during by day. Interesting fact, it's made and laid out in a cross, and then there would be a circumference around it. You can almost see the blue glow that goes around the whole thing. And this actually looks like the sign of the cross that you see on top of staffs quite often, where it's actually a sign like this with a circle around it, and people have figured out now that not only as a zodiac keeper, it's a primitive sextant, and that it also was used for making measurements and keeping things square and plumb, because you could make it into a plumb bob and get degrees off of the cord that hung across certain degrees that would be scratched on this thing. And the knowledge was passed back and forth. Of course, this is one of the sacred knowledge things, and you just think he's carrying around a stick that looks like Jesus Christ. And that was actually some of the sacred knowledge back then. But we'll get into that a little bit later. We're going to start at a weird point here. We're going to start at the burning bush and the laws that he gives and just see what weird and oddity things that just don't seem to really fit are in there, and work our way from there. We'll get back to Moses and how he's born in a basket, but that'll happen shortly. Recently I did the series on whose God are you worshiping anyway, and they threw it off of YouTube, and so I did another one, and they threw it off too, and so I did another one, and they left it on, and because I just left out a couple of things, but I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can't just pick this apart. I didn't want to be too picky in any of the other ones. I just wanted to show you enough information. You don't have to be shown 1,000 times. Like we talk about human sacrifice, and I don't need to go through here all these times whatever he tells you to, feed your babies to the burn god thing, over and over and over again. That's kind of that fire and brimstone bullshit, and we don't really need to go there. If God says it once, that's enough for me. I mean, that he said it, and if he said, thou shalt not kill, he shouldn't have to say it 17 times in the Bible. It's just there. Of course, the odd thing about that one is that about 4 pages later in the Bible, he tells people to cause genocide. He just told us not to kill, but, well, it's just real confusing. I'm going to puke. Yeah, I'm surely that's the people were just confused as hell if this is actually what was going on in the order and the way that it truly was going down. But let's look at a few of these passages and just see if we can't find dissension, things that just don't make any sense, and of course, things that will show you that this is not the Heavenly Father of love and grace, but something quite different. So, just starting off here at Exodus, we're at Exodus 22 and 1, and working our way down. And whoever steals an ox or a sheep and slaughters it or sells it must pay back 5 head of cattle for the ox and 4 sheep for the sheep. I don't want to be petty about this, but this is not eye for an eye in any way, shape, or form, or even double like he talks about in most of the cases. This is 5 for an ox, but only 4 for a sheep. And I'm not sure what this tries to tell us, because well, wouldn't it be 5 cattle and 5 sheep? Sheep aren't worth as much, okay, but still 5 cows are worth this and 5 sheep are worth less. It's a ratio. So God has a bad ratio here. I think this must have something to do with some secret code thing or something, because it really doesn't make any sense. But let's go on. If a thief is caught breaking in at night and struck a fatal blow, the defender is not guilty of bloodshed. Well, that's great. So we can defend ourselves. So if somebody tries to break in your house at night and you try to defend yourself and you kill the guy, then it's cool. Okay, well, that's the way, we especially here in Texas. But let's look at the next line. But if it happens after sunrise, the defender is guilty of bloodshed. So what are we supposed to get out of that? That like it's cool if you try to break in and be a thief during the day, just don't do it at night. I mean, that's what somebody would get out of that. That if you're broken into during the day, let's say you're at a bank and this guy breaks in and they hold everybody hostage and they go, I'm going to kill somebody every 10 minutes until blah, blah, blah. And you're sitting there with a gun secretly hidden on you, you'd be like, wow, I'd really like to help all these 72 people he's fixing to kill, but I've got to wait till the sun goes down. Is that what I'm supposed to get out of that? I mean, I'm just going to leave that alone and let's go on. So, anyone who steals must certainly make restitution. Well, that's cool. But if they have nothing, they must be sold to pay for their theft. So, um, so here God is telling you to condone slavery. In fact, it's just an accepted thing. It's not like that's just straight out that you would be selling somebody. You just sell them. Well, who the hell you sell them to? What the hell is going on here? So, so this is a God of slavery, and that it's cool, and that it's rampant there. In fact, he's telling you guidelines. He's not even going, look, you need to quit enslaving other people. He's giving you guidelines for it. Well, there you go. Ding. Okay, we just put a mark up here. Ding. There's one for Satan. And the other stuff up here, is just gibberish. About, you get 5 for 1 and all this weird type crap and everything. It's not any guidelines. It just sounds terrible. So we're going to go on down here below. So there's all this, borrowing a donkey and if you have something and everything. So we're just going to go all past that. Now, social responsibility here at the top. Let's see. If a man seduces a virgin who is not pledged to be married and sleeps with her, he must pay for the bride price, and she shall be his wife. If her father absolutely refuses to give her to him, he must still pay the bride price for virgins. Okay, hold on a second. If a man seduces a virgin who is not pledged to be married, well, hold on a second. So, okay, first of all, this is only pertaining to virgins, and that it's okay if, like, say she's somebody else's wife from before, you can go ahead and have sex with them. But, oh, well, here you can go ahead and have a sex with somebody too, out of wedlock, If a man seduces a virgin who's not pledged to be married, he just pledged, who's not even pledged. I mean, it's not even married. It doesn't say a virgin married. It doesn't say a virgin who is pledged. It says if you do it to one who is not pledged to be married and sleeps with her, he must pay the bride price. Well, what's the bride price? Well, this is a dowry. It's like, 4 ox, 3 goats, and 2 chickens. That's what she's worth. This one's kind of pretty. We're going to go 4 chickens. Really? So you sell your daughters? Yeah, I can show you that in the Bible where you sell your daughters. And in fact, he talks about how much you can do it for, and if they really don't want to be with the guy and come back, how you have to handle it. But oh, by the way, there's ding, and then this virgin wife, if her father refuses her to give her to him, he must still pay the bride price. So now it's cool if you have sex out of wedlock, as long as you pay the dude for it. So you can have sex out of wedlock. God said, hey, you can have sex out of wedlock, but then you pay the bride price. And if she don't want to be your thing and the father refuses and stuff, then you still just give her the money. And so that's kind of like he whores his daughter out. That's screwed up. But then she's no longer a virgin and all this type stuff. I mean, wow, isn't that just that's sick. Ding. Now these are God's guidelines, and and it just makes you just wonder what the hell's really going on here. Do not allow a sorceress to live. 18. Do not allow a sorceress to live. Wow, that's okay, so now we're supposed to kill witches. There you go, in that Bible where you're killing witches. And yeah, the witch trials and all that. Wow, sorcerer. What are sorceresses? They're people that divine and look at, but that's just the females. Now they have sorcerers who are diviners who are men, and that's cool. But if women do it, here's that women oppression they're throwing right in there. God says, and what are these diviners doing? Well, divination, to find out something divine. They're seeking God, and so if there's a woman seeking God, don't allow her to live. That ding. 22:19 says anyone who has sexual relations with an animal is to be put to death. Well, that's fine and dandy. Okay, that's fine and dandy, but you felt it was enough of an issue that you, God, had to mention it to these people and put it in their laws. It can only be looked at as that way. You wouldn't mention something. You wouldn't say, God wouldn't put, although there's some silly stuff in here and some stuff that really doesn't seem to pertain to what the hell is he talking about. But let's just go with that. But if he was to say, don't have a frog upside down on Thursday, what are you saying? Well, don't turn a frog upside down on a Thursday. So that's exactly what he's saying. Okay, well, so apparently there's people doing this, and he's got to tell you not to do it. All these other things are going on, and he's telling you not to do them. These are God's guidelines, in his own words. So here we go with anyone who has sexual relations with an animal is to be put to death, and this says that it's going on. There's an old Babylonian tale where this guy, I believe it's Sargon, right before he's fixing to go out and do this battle thing, and he goes, well, and then I go have sex with a bull, then I took off. And you're like, you say, what? Ding. I mean, there's got to be some good ones mixed all in here and everything that, do not kill and things like that. But then again, how are you going to eat? So you need to be a little more clarifying about that thing, because you're actually killing a plant. You'd have to kill something to eat. So if he says do not kill, then you just starve to death. Everybody'd be gone real quick. So there's got to be more to that statement than there is. But let's go on. Whoever sacrifices, number 20, 22:20, whoever sacrifices to any god other than the Lord must be destroyed. Okay, so there is your inciting to kill amongst themselves. right there. Well, how do I say that? Well, these people have these sacrifices. It's their little thing to do sacrifices. It's something they all get going and stuff. This sacrifice thing off Saturn worship and stuff, trying to sacrifice your kid and all those things like he did. Like you were supposed to emulate it in the first damn place. And Abraham hears about it, tries to do it to Isaac. Uh, ding. So whoever sacrifices it to any other god other than the Lord must be destroyed. Okay, well then we wouldn't be reading this book right now, because it can easily be proven that these people that he's talking to right now are fixing to sacrifice to another god and stray and then come back. So all those people that strayed and come back should all be destroyed. And then when they're all destroyed, there's nobody for him to be a god over. Oh, one interesting fact, if you go back in Exodus, he says that now I have a people to rule over. And if you're saying this is the God of everyone, and this is only 3%, maybe 6% of the population at most, of even just that area in the Mediterranean through Persia, then who is this? He's not the God of every man, woman, and child. He created everything, didn't he? Or did he not? No, this is, oh, ding. No, this is not. And true Jews will try to tell you that you're Goyim, and you look it up and it's like you're cattle, we're God's people, and everyone else is cattle. Why the hell do you think a God would make a planet of people where only 3% of them were supposed to be the chosen ones and everybody else was just there because whatever, maybe to take advantage of by you? Is that your view, Hebrew? I don't want to sound like I'm anti-Semitic or anti-Jewish. I have some people that are close personal friends of mine that are actually Jewish, and I know that they don't live under any of these ideals whatsoever. My dad's best golfing buddy forever and ever, a great and nice man that I revere and think he's great. You know, I think he's a good man. And I know he's a good man. And he's Jewish. It's not all Jews. It's the people that would follow this and follow things to a letter, these people back there, and what comes out of that we live under now. People look at this and they're like, yeah, okay, but you don't, this is what got you to where you're going, yeah, and you're amening about it. So working our way down here on, God's rules through Moses and stuff. And 22 is a good important one. Do not take advantage of the widow or the fatherless. If you do, and they cry out to me, I'll certainly hear the cry. My anger will be aroused, and I will kill you with a sword, and your wives will become widows, and your children fatherless. So do unto others as you'll have done unto you, or whatever. There's the good moral right there off of doing that. Well, hold on a minute. The Roman Catholic Church is totally guilty of actually taking advantage of widows and stealing their land. This is the whole witch trial thing and pretty much most of the Dark Ages. Don't tell me I'm wrong. It can be totally proven. You want to look up exactly that topic, and what you're going to find is that's what the Roman Catholic Church was doing. Because if they found that if they actually did admit to it, that they could easily torture them to death and rip their skin off and do all this bullshit that they wanted to do. Get that, people? They wanted to do this. And so but they made a little law you had to confess. So then they're going to burn you with red hot pokers and pull out your teeth until you do say that, yeah, okay, man, quit doing that shit. And so you confess and they're like, yeah. And then they're like, great, now we're going to kill you. No, that's just lovely. Lovely. So don't take advantage of the widows or the fatherless, but that's definitely been done. It's been proven. So who is the Roman Catholic Church? What is this? that people are doing. If God gives you, now this is one that wasn't like upside down. This one's straightforward. Don't take advantage of widows. Well, hold on. It was going on back then. That's the reason he made a law about it, is because it was happening. That's these laws. Again, he doesn't make laws about upside down frogs on Thursday. He makes laws about what's going on and how to correct things and what to tell them to do and not to do. Whether Moses just sat around and made this up because he saw it or not, somebody is seeing people take advantage of widows and fatherless people and things like that, and that shouldn't be done. Now we're getting to the good part right here where we really get to know what's going on. I hopefully made the words a little bit bigger here, but so you're not supposed to blaspheme God or the ruler of your people. So rulership will never be taken away of the group that's got a hold of it right now. That's his law. Oh boy. But check out this one, 29. You must give me the firstborn of your sons. Do the same with your cattle and your sheep. Let them stay with their mothers for 7 days, but give them to me on the 8th day. People go, oh, that's when you baptize them. No, 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 no. Are you baptizing cattle and sheep? What do you do with the cattle and the sheep? Oh, you sacrifice them on the altar with the blood on the horns of the altar thing. Yeah, that right there is exactly what it sounds like, people. That you're gonna give me the firstborn of yours and your cattle and your sheep. And then up here above, he also tells you, don't not do this. You better, don't tarry in it. Give me. One more for right in here, this is Jewish people and Hebrews. If you lend money to one of my people among you who is needy, do not treat it like a business deal. Charge no interest. Okay, hold on. If you lend money to one of my people among you. Oh, wait, so the Jews aren't supposed to charge interest to each other, but they're supposed to charge interest. Already at this point, now this is way back at Moses, that they actually have interest on borrowing. And if you look this up, this is kind of the downfall of mankind, the debt situation, the reason America's in $7 trillion worth of debt, that actually 2/3 of that is just interest on bullshit. And like your credit cards, and the fact that that's usury and you actually are paying more than everybody agreed to back at this time here, that credit cards and banks and all these different places that are run by the Jews are actually doing this thing called usury, USURY. Look it up. And that is what they're talking about here way back at Moses, like yeah, when we're lending money, here's the way we do things. Okay, so let's go back to the start of this. That's well, not even the start. We'll do that here in a minute. Let's go back to Mount Sinai right before he, a minute ago we were looking at all these rules and regulations, the actual 10 Commandments where you've got to sacrifice your children. Now let's go back to whenever he meets these people, and let's see if we can glean any information out of this. And I'm surprised people don't have this more, but 19:1 says, on the first day of the 3rd month after the Israelites left Egypt, on that very day they came to the desert of Sinai. They set out from Rephidim, entered the desert of Sinai, and Israel camped there in the desert in front of the mountain. Now, an interesting fact is what we would be doing is coming up on what would be spring equinox. Let's see, first day of the 3rd month after the thing. Yeah, we're going to be like 3 or 4 days off here, something like that, right? And so, of course, we celebrate spring differently now. We do this whole little kick thing that we've come up with that kind of hides what they were doing from way back when, exactly on the dates. But now we do it with a farmer's almanac, and we spring forward and fall back on our hours and do a lot of little stuff that people didn't really do back then. Of course, they didn't have watches, but they did keep up with time, and they had a god that was about time. His name's Saturn, or Kronos. And that's who this guy is. and it's who they're worshiping here shortly. We'll find out in a minute, which is confusing because they're both one and the same, but he gets mad about it. It's just odd. But so here at 3, Moses went up to God, and the Lord called to him from the mountain and said, This is what you're supposed to say to the descendants of Jacob and tell the people of Israel. It's like, this is what you tell them. He goes, tell them that you remember whenever I took you out of Egypt on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. And now if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, all nations be treasured in the whole world, and the whole earth is mine. You will be for me a kingdom, for the priest a holy nation of this world. These are the words you are to speak to the Israelites. So he's got this plan now. And he tells you, you're supposed to tell him, and you remember how I carried you out on eagle's wings? I'm sorry, I missed that. I remember a parting of the Red Sea, which now we know was the Reed Sea, which basically wouldn't have been going that deep in the water now. You can't walk into the Red Sea. There's sharp coral escarpments running down, and it goes down 60 foot and then jaggedly falls to 200 and something feet and goes all the way across. You wouldn't be taking people down this. The elderly and all the things, they wouldn't make it down this Red Sea thing. It's been proven a long time ago. People still want to believe in this crap, though. And of course, whenever they do this thing, they say that he killed the god Yam and Leviathan and all this stuff, and it's built into that story. And no, that didn't happen there. They just parted the waters. Oh, now they're trying to equate the two together. They're equating, well, hold on, this whole Leviathan Yam thing and killing off the Leviathan of the ocean was a Canaanite god thing of El and his pantheon. So that's who it is, y'all are. El, like Israel, like Is would be for Isis, and Ra would be for the god Ra, and El would be El. And so you're going to take northern and southern Egypt and El and kind of put it all together, that you got 3 of them going on now. That's what this is. And Exodus 3 verse 2 tells us that, and the angel of the Lord appeared to him in a flame of fire from the midst of a bush. So he looked, and behold, the bush was burning with fire, but the bush was not consumed. This is the story of part of Exodus. This is the burning bush before Mount Sinai. And this is where he meets God, and he tells him, Eir Hasha Eir, and Yahweh, right? Well, as you see right here, the third word, this is not God, this is an angel. Yeah, some of the Bibles have tried to, whoopsie, and pulled that crap out, but you still see it in all of the old forms and Septuagint and things, and it's just an angel of the Lord. There are 4 places in the Bible that show you that Moses' laws were given by an angel. It tells you that people swayed away from the laws given by the angel to Moses. So it tells you straight up right there. Yeah, so at the burning bush in Exodus, God said to Moses, I am who I am, or Eir Hasha Eir. And everybody keys on this. The first time they see God, it's neat, it's a burning bush. But check out the words here. He says, and he said, say this to the people of Israel, I am has sent me to you. You know this, right? Okay, well, I am sent that angel there that's the burning bush. That was a burning bush that was an angel. It says the angel of the Lord came to him in a burning bush that didn't burn. And then he talks to this creature, and this creature says, I am who I am. Now everybody's trying to say this is God, but he says, no, I want you to go tell everybody that I am has sent me to you. Well, who is me? Well, me is this guy that's talking to Moses, acting like he's God. I am has sent me to you. So he wants you to tell them that I am has sent me to you. People have tried to twist this around and saying, sent Moses to you. You can't send Moses to him. He was already there. He just walked away, went to a burning bush, and come back. You can't say, oh, he sent me to you. No, you meant you came back. I mean, okay, hold on a minute. I'm going to go pee, and then when I come back, I'm going to go, the pee sent me to you. That's not exactly the way it works, son. I am has sent me to you. So that's the angel of the Lord. And it was an angel that went before him in a pillar. Everybody says, oh, that's God. No, that was an angel. And then also it tells you later, like I said, an angel of the Lord gave Moses his laws. It was an angel of the Lord. So an angel of the Lord. Well, the Lord's word is Baal. That's Baal, is Lord. So is this an angel of Baal doing this? Trying to make the, yeah, oh, wow. It's a little different, isn't it? And this is the traditional view now of the Exodus and where you come from. The people came from up here in Egypt, and instead of going down here and then trying to go across the Red Sea, like everybody thinks supposedly happened, and that you try to put in the Bible, maybe at that little flat spot between those mountains, and look, that actually came through here and went down and around, and where one is at right there, supposedly, I think, is where the burning bush is. Somewhere right around in there is where he found the burning bush, and it talked to him and stuff in the Sinai wilderness. But the idea of coming across right here is unfeasible. In fact, people have gone from here all the way down and all the way up with scuba gear just trying to prove God and trying to find a place. But the problem with this, people, is that it goes from the lowest point that you might be able to get down. The best place they found was about 60 to 80 feet of jagged rocks running down to a little plateau that goes down to 160, down to a little over 200 foot, and then runs out across the other way. And it would take professional mountain climbers to be able to do that, and that is the best spot to do it. The rest of the places have 160 to 200 foot drop-offs that are all made of jagged cliffs that are covered with corals and jagged things like that, and it's really not feasible to say somebody walked down into the Red Sea and walked across just like they walk across. I mean, they've got this funny-ass picture of you walking across, but they don't show them getting down in or trying to climb back out the other side. This thing is, if you took the water out of it, it's kind of a Grand Canyon effect, and you can't just climb down the Grand Canyon. You can't just climb up, and there's no real zigzag path to go down or anything. People have looked for this. It's really unfeasible. But what is feasible is right up in here. There's this whole area that floodplains out, and they call it the Reed Sea, or the Sea of Reeds, and that's what they crossed. And they crossed it and didn't get attacked by alligators or anything. And then whenever the people with their chariots came after them, they kind of bogged down in the chariots. And the story goes that they set the place on fire behind them and stuff, and therefore it took them out that way. But they don't mention that way at all. Because people believed that he had parted a sea, they went with it. And they actually, the Song of the Sea that they supposedly sing after that is actually a song that was written much before in Sumeria about the killing of Yam and the sea god, and that allowed them to take more control of the waters. And they are usurping that exact Leviathan story to themselves right now and saying that that happened. Later it also says that, didn't I bury you out on wings of eagles? And no, you didn't. There's no wing of an eagle in the story at all. You didn't, I don't think you miniaturized everybody down to the size of a flea and put them on a eagle and then flew them out and then resized everybody back up. I don't remember that in the Bible. But eagle's wings, huh? I don't remember hearing about somebody having eagle's wings. For all, I'm pretty sure that they didn't have giant eagles back then, and so, like in Lord of the Rings or something, even in those, nobody could ride on a wing. They would be riding on the body of it. Don't try to tell me he's just spitting out a metaphor. He has the ability right now, instead of saying carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself, like gimme, gimme, that he could say, and how I parted the Red Sea and brought you to myself. It'd be just as easy to speak the correct words. I carried you on eagle's wings. And everybody goes, oh, carried on eagle's wings. Now that's some bullshit. That actually eagles and stuff have to do with Enlil. and all the Mesopotamian god things, right? And you carried on eagle's wings. That is a vernacular that's really not found too much in the Bible. They've rewrote over it a lot, but there it is. He carried you out on eagle's wings. What did he make everybody about this tall, and then they had to like stitch themselves onto an eagle's wing? Of course, you just blow right off. I mean, how are you going to fly on a, what the hell? Oh wait, did he have this big flat spaceship, and he made everybody get on the wing, and then they went across the Red Sea, and then he let everybody off the wing, and he carried them off on eagle's wings? I'm not sure, but what I'm sure of is that the story doesn't tell you what he's saying. It's just a discrepancy. If he said, "You remember how I carried you out of Egypt on Thursday, and if you look back, it was a Tuesday," it would just be odd that he said something like this. And here we have where he's carrying him out on eagle's wings, and he didn't carry anybody out on eagle wings. They all did it themselves, and then he parted the Red Sea, which, if it's the Reed Sea, and it's just getting across the Sea of Reeds without getting bit up by a crocodile, the monster Leviathan thing that they all feared not to run through, a story that they had been told that there was a giant crocodile in there, maybe a remnant of dinosaurs, or that they had found the skull of one and they said, "Ha ha, see, this is only one of his kids. He's bigger than that." And they make up all these scary ass stories, but one thing's for sure. Here he tells you how he's going to make the whole earth mine. Not just these people in this small area, that if he does this right, he can make the whole earth mine. Now, I'm trying not to pick this apart like hell, but as you can tell, it's just impossible. So let's look at this, So he tells them, "Hey, here's what you're going to tell them." And then he says, "These are the words you're to speak to the Israelites." So Moses went back and summoned the elders, and he set before them all the words the Lord had commanded him to speak. And the people all responded together, "We will do everything the Lord has said." Are you meaning to tell me that they all did this like in unison thing? They went to these elders, and he goes, "Here's what the Lord said," and then they all spoke at once, like in Airplane the movie, where they all said it together, all together now. I mean, they all responded together. Well, they all agreed. No, they could say they all agreed. It doesn't say that. It says that they all responded together, like they were in one unison, like I am a machine of. That's what it's saying. It's not saying, that they corresponded and agreed. No, it says they all responded together, that we will do everything. It's funny, 4 or 5 times here in the Bible you'll find where he goes in front of the whole thing of Israelites. They're all standing in front of him. Supposedly it's 100,000 people or more left alive, and they all go, "Yes, we will serve you." Did they? Was there somebody who didn't talk and they put fingers behind their back? They went and crossed their fingers and didn't say it, and they looked around at everybody like, "Are you going to go back to this baby killing guy?" Or I don't. One thing's for sure, they keep telling you that everybody says it in unison. It's just an odd statement. Next, in chapter 9, he tells you, "The Lord said to Moses, I am going to come with you in a dense cloud so that the people will hear me speaking with you and will always put their trust in you." But they don't trust Moses yet. Well, you find out if you read the story that they left and they were like, "Why'd we ever leave?" And all this type of stuff, like, "We're doomed, what are we going to do?" And he's like, "Oh, we're going to bring him out of it," and everything. And this whole thing that sounds like God's plan sounds a whole lot like somebody who doesn't have a plan, you know. But yeah, 40 years of running around in the desert, if that's a plan of the omnipotent God, then yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, ding, and then a minute ago, a ding, and I'm pretty sure there was another one in there I didn't ding yet. Ding. Um, so he's going to come to you in a dense cloud so that people will hear me speaking with you, will always put trust in you. And Moses went and told him that. And the Lord said to Moses, "Go to the people and consecrate them today and tomorrow. Have them wash their clothes and be ready for the third day, because on that day the Lord will come down to Mount Sinai." So he wants everybody to wash up and get in their Sunday best. Okay, back it up. Hold on. He said he was going to show himself to everybody and show him speaking with them, and that by showing them that they'll put trust in him, that he's being that he's talking to God, right? But then he doesn't do it. He doesn't do it there. Are they talking about it later? Well, I don't think he ever does show up. In fact, it seems like he changes his mind as he says, put limits for the people around the mountain and tell them, be careful, do not approach the mountain or touch the foot of it. Whoever touches the mountain will be put to death. So he's going to kill anybody that even touches the mountain. Get the hell back. And that just sounds odd. No person or animal shall be permitted to live. Only when a ram's horn sounds a long blast may they approach the mountain. So everybody stay way the hell away from the mountain for 3 days while we set all this up. Yeah, because the Lord's got to set up this whole thing. Or Moses is setting up some kind of weird deal. But now after we go these many days right here, we end up coming right to the spring solstice. So this is all this is bringing in. And whenever he gets mad and throws the tablets that God talked about and made and throws them on the Taurus the bull, we're actually ending the age of Taurus and going on to the age of the next one, Aries. And of course that's Aries is the god of war, and where they as a people are about to cause genocide and war. Oh, so this is leading him, and what it really has to do with this is zodiac, but it's twisted inside where you can hardly see it, that they're talking about that, as long as they keep talking about baby sacrifice and misleading little statements and stuff here. So here goes some more of this ritually stuff that's all voodoo-y kind of. After Moses had gone down to the mountain of the people, he consecrated them. Okay? And they washed their clothes. And he said to the people, prepare yourselves for the 3rd day. Abstain from sexual relations. That's what he told them. So he's like, get your ass cleaned up. God's fixing to come in 3 days. And so get on your Sunday's best and don't have sex for the next 3 days. And I'm sure out of the thousands of couples that are there, nobody did and for that whole 3 days. But they may or may not have. We'll just go with that. On the morning of the 3rd day, there was thunder and lightning with a thick cloud over the mountain. No, hold on. And a very loud trumpet blast. Everyone in the camp trembled. Oh, no, wait. That's got to be wrong. I've got to be in the wrong spot here, because when God shows up, he parts the clouds with brightness and unapproachable brightness. But that's not what's going on here. There was a thick cloud over the mountain and everybody was scared. So he incites fear. No. But let's continue. Then Moses led the people of the camp to meet with God, and they stood at the foot of the mountain. Mount Sinai was covered with smoke, not unapproachable light, because the Lord descended on it in fire. Fire and smoke. Fire and smoke. The smoke billowed up from it like it was smoke from a furnace, and the whole mountain trembled violently. Well, it almost sounds like a volcano kind of trying to kick off on the mountain. And, yeah, so there's lightning, smoke, and fire, and it's not unapproachable light, that's for sure. I mean, I might start backing up, people. Really. As the sound of a trumpet grew louder and louder and louder, and Moses spoke, and the voice of God answered him. Is this just a thunderstorm coming over the mountains? And they made a bunch of, they set fire to the mountain. Maybe even it happened due to lightning. And then Moses, they make people blow trumpets so loud that they can't quite hear. And a lightning strike happens while Moses is trying to talk to God. And they go, oh, see, he talked. And then, so hold on, if the people are behind him now, this is whenever God's supposed to hear everybody. Everybody's going to hear God. And so they'll all believe, like he said. And so he says at the sound, what? Well, the trumpets grew louder and louder and louder. There's all this smoke, fire, and things going on. People are afraid like hell. Doesn't sound like they're going to be real attentive and being able to hear what's going on, does it? God doesn't speak clearly, apparently, at this point. Moses spoke, and the voice of God answered him. Period. The Lord descended to the top of the Mount Sinai and called Moses to the top of the mountain. Hold on, well, what did God say when he answered him? Moses spoke, and the voice of God answered him. Okay, is this just a lightning strike and thunder or something? Or, I mean, yeah, this is the storm God answering him with the thunder. That's what that is. This is a remnant of that El Canaanite storm god, Baal, that they throw their kids to. That's what this is. Yeah, because there's no way that they would look at possibly the God that we know of, that we talk about, that's unapproachable light and parts clouds, as being a thick, dense cloud that was dark with fire and smoke and caused trembling. And yeah, it just doesn't. No, I would back away. I would try to run. I would just kind of back away and leave. So now, if I can just paraphrase 20, Moses went up to the Lord and said, "Go down and warn the people so they don't force their way through, and the Lord, and many of them perish." I'm not going to paraphrase. Even the priest who approach the Lord must consecrate himself. The Lord will break out against them and kill them. It doesn't say kill them there, but no, that's what it is. He's going to kill you. It's what he told you before. If you approach the mountain, he's going to kill you. Or he's going to die. He's going to die. Hold on a minute. God shows up, and wouldn't everybody? I mean, wouldn't everybody want to go see God? And he's like, "Don't approach me, or I'll kill you." Basically, that's weird. And then he wants Moses just to come up. Moses said, "The people cannot come up to Mount Sinai because you yourself warned us. Put limits around the mountain and set its apart as holy." The Lord replied, "Go down and bring Aaron up with you, but the priests and people must not force their way through to come up to the Lord, or he will break out against them." Boy, you keep threatening that shit, don't you? You're about to kill everybody if they come. So Moses went down to the people and told them, like, "Hey, I know you see fire up here, and it seems like some kind of bullshit show going on with Wizard of Oz behind the thing, and all you heard was a thunder crack, or maybe even somebody just wiggling metal, making a noise, like in the old theater thing, and we're putting on a show for you. But if anybody tries to come up here, we're going to kill you." And boy, I don't think they were impressed, because within a week they're building a effigy to a bull. Just want to mention down here at the bottom, the little footnotes here. A part, Exodus, whenever they talk about the whole earth is going to be his, he says, or they list as possession, for the whole earth is mine, you. And then B is Exodus 19:18, which tells you most Hebrew manuscripts, a few manuscripts, and Septuagint say, "and all the people." So whenever and you look back up here, and it says whenever, and the whole mountain trembled violently, it's all the people trembled violently in the old Bible before they redid it. They wanted to let you know how scared they all are of this crap that just doesn't look like the God of love showing up. And Exodus 19:19, down here at the bottom, C, and God answered him with thunder. That's what it actually said in the Septuagint. So let's look up 19:19, and the voices, and Moses spoke, and the voice of God answered him. Oh, so I was right. This is just thunder. So he saw a thunderstorm on a mountain. They set the thing on fire, or lightning caused it, and the next thing you know, everybody's equating this to God. No wonder they weren't impressed.